Okay, so in the last class, we just introduced the concept, or we tried to remember the concept of velocity boundary layer. So again, let's revisit those cases. So say we have when we talk about boundary layer, immediately this picture comes to our mind that say this is a flat plate. Just a second. So say this is a flat plate, and this is the say inlet velocity profile initially when we have this distance or this length, say we name as lambda, and then okay, yeah, so that's pretty much. And say we have stress tau here, and these values are say the u. So say a flow is happening over a flat plate in which the base I have colored as blue. Now what happens when the fluid particles comes in contact with the surface? They would try to take the zero velocity. Now these particles, what will happen, that it will retard the motion of the particles, okay, in the adjoining liquid layer. So if we consider layer wise fluid particles, so basically that the fluid particles, those are in contact with the solid surface, okay, it's quite logical. And most of the time it happens that it takes zero velocity and then it retards this velocity profile. So that is coming, say initially we gave a flat velocity profile on that everywhere we had a same velocity, but immediately when it comes in contact with this leading edge, the liquid that is adjacent to this solid surface takes zero velocity. Now it gradually, then what happens, we get a velocity profile like this, and that happens say height delta from the surface. This u infinity that we have mentioned, we know that this is called the free stream velocity. Free stream velocity. So the point, okay, uh, down the line which is in the direction x, okay, the x velocity component of the fluid, okay, with increasing distance y from the surface, it changes, and thus velocity, this u actually takes the velocity u infinity, which is the free stream velocity. Fine. So this height, this delta or the thickness, we know that is called as the boundary layer thickness. Fine. Now, the typically we define this thickness is basically the distance y where we have u is equals to 0.99 u infinity. So 99% of free stream velocity when or at the layer within the boundary layer, when the velocity is attained of 99% of the free stream velocity, that is the typical thickness of the boundary layer from the surface. So which means the fluid flow we can characterize in two distinct regions, which is one is the thin liquid layer that is called the boundary layer, in which velocity gradient, shear stresses, okay, are quite dominant, and the region outside this boundary layer where the velocity gradient and the shear stresses are negligible. Now with the increasing distance from this leading edge means this point on the solid surface. So from this leading edge, the effect of viscosity, okay, penetrates further into the free stream and the boundary layer grows. That means delta increases with increasing x. Now, since this happens with the fluid velocity, okay, this boundary layer is typically referred as the velocity boundary layer, okay, or we can also call it as hydrodynamic boundary layer. Hydrodynamic boundary layer or velocity boundary layer. So it basically develops wherever there is fluid flow over a surface. Okay, and this is very important when we consider convective transport of any quantity. Now you remember that in fluid mechanics, okay, from this concept you came up with the formula, which is, we can say, this is the local friction factor or friction coefficient, which is tau s rho u square by 2. Do you remember this equation? This is the local friction coefficient, which is it dimensional or dimensionless? Anyone? Dimensionless. Dimensionless quantity. Now, if we consider the fluid to be Newtonian, what does that mean? Siddhant?
Incompressible fluid.
No, not incompressible. I'm talking about Newtonian fluid.
Newton law of viscosity.
And what is that?
This is directly proportional to shear rate.
What? The viscosity is proportional to
Shear rate.
Shear rate,
Yes,
or
sir.
the strain rate and strain rate and the shear stress
Mm.
is proportional, and you have the coefficient of viscosity. Now, if the fluid is Newtonian, then the surface shear stress we can calculate from the knowledge of the velocity gradient at the surface, which is, because here this quantity we have to understand, or we have to know. For Newtonian fluid, we write at the wall, where mu is called the dynamic viscosity. Now, this velocity boundary layer, the velocity gradient uh, on the surface, it actually depends on the type of the surface on which it is flowing, the nature of the leading edge, if it is sharp, if it is rounded, if it is of different shape, okay, and the distance from the leading edge. So which means the surface shear stress and the friction coefficient also depends on x, the distance from the leading edge. Now the similar thing happens when the fluid flows over a surface, and that surface has a different temperature than the fluid. So the similar scenario, that we have a flat plate, we impose, say, a velocity of a fluid is flowing over this flat plate. Okay, we have free stream velocity. So the boundary layer will develop. Fine. Now there will be another boundary layer, or say the another, like the velocity profile, we will have the another profile for the temperature, because this bulk fluid temperature is different than the surface temperature. So say consider initially the plate is isothermal, or the surface on which this is flowing is isothermal and having a temperature Ts. At the leading edge, the temperature profile is uniform, which means Ty, if we consider this direction y and this is x, is basically T infinity. So when the fluid particle comes into contact with the plate, and to achieve the thermal equilibrium at the place, this plate's surface temperature, so what will happen? A thermal boundary layer will also be developed, because there will be a temperature profile. So say there will be a temperature profile from Ts to T surface, T infinity to T surface. So the particles nearer to the wall will exchange, or the fluid particles, as I said, the fluid particles nearer to the wall will exchange energy with the surface, because these two are at different temperatures, and it will transfer that energy to its nearby layer, and it would develop a temperature gradient as it grows along in the x direction. Now, similar to the definition of hydrodynamic boundary layer, where we equated that to understand what is the thickness of that hydrodynamic boundary layer, here also we will have a thickness, which is, if I say the delta T, T stands for the thermal boundary layer. So to estimate delta T, we need to have a demarcation. Fine. And that is typically defined by this expression, is equals to 0.99. So T surface minus T, which is T at any point along the y. Okay. So the y at which this is happens is the thermal boundary layer thickness. Fine. So with increasing distance from the leading edge, we can see the effect of heat transfer will also penetrate like the viscosity penetrates down the line or along the flat surface, and thermal boundary layer also grows. Now, so that means there will be two boundary layers. We will see that what is the relation between delta and delta T later. So as the flow happens, there will always be a velocity of the hydrodynamic boundary layer. If the temperature of the bulk fluid is different from the surface temperature, there another boundary layer will exist, which is called the thermal boundary layer. Thermal boundary layer thickness is delta T and hydrodynamic boundary layer thickness is delta. Whether both will have the similar thickness or different, that we will understand later, but one logical deduction is that these two thicknesses are not same or of identical in nature, because you understand this thickness of the hydrodynamic boundary layer depends on the velocity of the fluid, which also dictates the convective heat transfer, and in other terms also dictates the thermal boundary layer thickness. In addition to that, thermal boundary layer thickness is also dependent on the temperature difference between the fluid and the surface over which it is flowing. Fine. So these two thicknesses are of different values. In certain cases, those may be identical, but what are the cases we will see later, or what are the relations. Now, say at any distance from from the leading edge, say distance x, okay, the local surface heat flask, how can we estimate? How do we estimate heat flask from a surface? Anyone?
Thermal conductance coefficient and temperature difference.
Temperature gradient.
Yeah, temperature gradient.
And what is that called? By which law we get that?
Fourier's law.
Fourier's law. Okay, so say if we apply Fourier's law to the fluid at y is equals to 0. Remember, Fourier's law we are applying to the fluid at y is equals to 0. Then what do we write? What do we write in that case? The flask, the nomenclature, say we use this one near the surface, okay, or say if I say at the of the fluid at y is equals to 0, and that is why it is near the surface S. What can I write?
K times dt by dy.
Y is equals to 0. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
But this K, you said just K, Devesh. I have specified that it is Kf. F stands for the fluid. Because there are two things are there when we are considering adjacent to the surface, the fluid. The surface consists of a solid material, it would have its own K value. That K is Ks, thermal conductivity of the solid surface. But this one we are writing for the fluid. Okay, so the local heat flux applying to the fluid nearer to the surface.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, according to you, means we are using Fourier law, so there must be conduction in that case,
Absolutely,
means
absolutely.
near the boundary.
Exactly. So when it comes in contact with the surface, that is the concept I told you yesterday, that the conduction is happening in the fluid. So this is the example where conduction is happening in liquid. Say if you in more specifically, if I say the fluid as the liquid.
Sir, but if the conduction is happening, means conduction do occur in some medium, right? So in this, the conduction is happening between the surface and the fluid. Means surface is having the higher temperature than...
We have not yet equated that.
No, I'm asking you, like...
Yes.
Means the conduction is happening between the surface and the liquid part, which is
Yes.
adjacent to it.
Adjacent to it.
So, sir,
The
why
heat
we are
transfer is
considering...
happening. See, the heat transfer is happening from the solid surface to
the liquid surface,
the
which
liquid
is in
surface.
proximity to it.
Not the conduction is happening, I'm saying. So the point is that the hypothesis is that, or the understanding is that, say the layer that comes in contact with the solid surface, the very this wall, this liquid, say this is the solid wall, and the fluid, if I say the next blue line on this. So it is logical to approximate that it attains a temperature, okay, that is close enough to the solid surface, because it is having a zero velocity. The velocity that comes in contact with the solid surface attains a zero velocity. It is not moving. So that is why the convection, there is no advection there.
Yes,
am
sir.
I clear, Ayush?
Did yes, sir. Means okay. I'm understanding you. Like in the convection, we are having the conduction. We are not having the advection part.
Right.
Because there is no bulk transport. There is no bulk movement of the fluid.
Absolutely, because we assume that the fluid layer that comes in contact with the surface attains a zero velocity, because that is the hypothesis of having or developing velocity boundary layer, or say thermal boundary layer.
Yes, sir.
So if there is no velocity, then there is no advection at that layer at least.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then what happens for that liquid surface, that is the surface at y is equals to 0. We are applying heat flux calculation to the fluid at y is equals to 0.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is minus kf del t by del y at y is equals to 0.
Hmm.
And this is, as I again emphasizing, because it is adjacent to the surface.
Sir, I have one doubt. Like, if we consider two consecutive layers in the fluid flow, means then the layer 1 relative to layer 2 means the velocity of layer 1 relative to layer 2 is approximately 0.
Yes.
So, can we apply this law means between the two adjacent layers also?
No, there will be a velocity gradient. So this is the point. So there is a velocity profile, and you know what is the velocity profile.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So if this is my velocity profile, so between two layers, you have a generic expression that grows with y.
Yes, sir.
But this calculation we are applying at y is equals to 0, because there
There
is
is
no
no
movement.
velocity. There is no
Exactly.
movement of the fluid boundary.
Exactly. Yes. Now this expression, quite logically, it is approximate. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Considering that the velocity that comes in touch with the solid surface, the base level, takes a 0 velocity.
Yes.
And that is also called, you would hear in future, called the no slip boundary condition. But in certain cases, in several fluids, it happens that those nearest particles doesn't, stick to the surface. It rolls. That is called the slip velocity condition. That is an exception.
Okay.
But in most of the fluid dynamics cases, you would see a generic, we consider a boundary condition called no slip boundary condition, which means the velocity at that surface is 0 of that fluid layer. But several polymeric fluids, several other cases, even at the nanoscale calculations, the fluid or say the particle can roll over the surface. That doesn't stick. So which means it is having a velocity. It's not non-zero velocity.
Yes, sir.
But we will not go into that discussion. So usual convention, or to make this things simpler, the conventional thing is that we most of the time we consider there is no velocity near the surface. Okay. And then,
Hello.
yeah. Soham, go ahead.
So I had doubt. So there is a formation of thermal boundary layer, right?
Yes.
So I wanted to ask it's whether it's because of conduction or advection, because we say that when boundary layers are formed, the inside the boundary layer the flow is laminar. So can we say that it's only because of conduction?
Why the convection will not happen in laminar flow? What makes you think that?
So because all the particles must remain in that particular lamina, right? When it's laminar flow. And if convection happens, that means particles are leaving their layers.
See, I think you are confused with the laminar idea. So the laminar thing is the kind of a streamline flow. So it would have been easier. So the point is that you had your, but you didn't do that obviously, because there is a fluid flow experiment that you have to do. It's called in the laboratory basically. That is called the Reynolds experiments. So all of you have heard this thing, right? The name Reynolds.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, his full name is Osborne Reynolds. Now, Osborne, this what he did an experiment to understand this thing, and why it is I'm saying you would understand this is prevalent at this condition, that if you have that he did an experiment in a pipe, so where we have a jet of or very jet of liquid, say this is as ink, I would say. So this is ink or a colored liquid. Okay, and here he had a pool of liquid or a stagnant or say the liquid that is flowing here. So he injected ink in this pipe. Okay, and then he showed that this injected ink, initially this flow in the pipe was steady and undisturbed flow of water. So the adjectives are steady plus undisturbed. Water was flowing. Now he injected ink at a certain velocity in this water, and the experiment showed, which in fact you would do, is that this ink remains in the straight line or in a single line up to a certain point. Then it starts to wobble. And eventually this ink stream breaks up and creates small vortices down the line. The reason I'm saying this thing is that this demonstrates that what is laminar, what is turbulence, and in between there is something called the transition region. So which means there is flow, otherwise this ink wouldn't be transported to one place to another, but it is happening as a streamline. The liquid streamline will be marked by this ink color if the flow is steady and undisturbed. Now this will not happen with all the velocity of the ink or the injection speed. He showed that there is a demarcation or a transition of this velocity, that if you go with a very low velocity ink, this length or this period increases. If you inject in a jet speed, it immediately breaks up. Okay, so the essence from this experiment is that it is called the Reynolds experiment, the laminar to turbulent transition. So now coming back to your question, that laminar doesn't mean that it is not being transported from one place to the other. Advection is happening in laminar also. Advection means a bulk movement, that is it. Whether it is laminar or turbulent, that would be dictated, or if we estimate the Reynolds number of that flow.
Sir, there's only movement in x direction when we talk about the boundary layer, right? But there's no movement along the y direction, or we like neglect it because it's very insignificant.
No, why? The reason I am drawing this thing is for a planar geometry. The fluid is moving. Okay, so you consider basically a drainage flow. Okay, where three sides are enclosed, where you can visualize the flow from the top. Okay, now consider that there is a very high viscosity of the fluid is of very highly viscous in nature. So what will happen in that case? If you inject that fluid at a very low velocity, okay, then what will happen? The lower surface will stick to the drainage wall, and the upper wall will have a kind of a free stream velocity. But after down the line, after a certain length, the flow may stop. Did you get the point? So that
Yes,
doesn't mean that the flow, but we have all the three directions open. So just for the planar geometry sake, here we are showing, or we are understanding the velocity in the y direction, in the x directions. We are considering that this velocity profile exists for the sake of simplicity. So laminar flow, there is velocity gradient. See, a simple example or simple thing, the laminar flow in a pipe. Okay, the laminar flow in a pipe, there is velocity profile. Now you think of the that velocity profile in terms of a say concave lens in 3D. Did you get my point?
I guess that.
So the bottom line is that if advection exists, convection will happen.
Okay, so even though there is laminar flow, we say that particles can move along
Yes.
the y and z direction as well.
Yes, yes.
Okay, sir.
But sir, along the means what we studied is like the that flow, that boundary layer formation is means that all process is due to the molecular transport. So
The transport that happens mainly at the boundary layer or inside the boundary layer is predominantly by the molecular diffusion.
yes, sir. So sir,
Yes.
is this process is also due to the molecular transport? Means the
When there is heat transfer by convection, okay, the point is that this heat transfer inside the boundary layer and outside the boundary layer, you can think of it in a two different mechanism.
okay. No, sir. Means I am considering like inside the boundary layer.
Okay,
Like I'm
so
asking
inside,
you about the
right,
inside
so
the boundary layer.
inside the boundary layer at a very lower region, again I fall back to the example that you can consider the heat transfer is happening in the liquid is mainly due to conduction.
Yes, sir.
Now that also answers your previous question, possibly that if the first layer and the second layer there is a minimal velocity gradient, can we consider that as conduction? Yes.
So means if we are having two layers which are adjacent to one another, then there is some molecular diffusion between the two layers.
Absolutely.
And that may result in the transfer of energy from one layer to another.
Yes.
That may be the reason of transfer of energy.
Yes, that is one of the reasons. And inside the boundary layer, that is the predominant reason.
And so that process is called means what means we call it convection.
Which one?
Means this one, that inside the boundary layer, this process is
It's
happening.
inside the boundary layer. That is the question that I asked yesterday. That what is the example where heat transfer is happening in liquid by conduction mode? The
Okay,
answer
means
would be inside the boundary layer.
okay, sir. Means according to you, inside the boundary layers, we are having heat transfer with the due to conduction. Means molecular
Mainly,
diffusion.
absolutely, mainly due to conduction,
Okay.
predominantly due to conduction.
Okay.
And adjacent to the surface, it is the conduction.
Convection.
No, adjacent to
Acha,
the
yes, sir.
solid surface.
Yes, sir. Adjacent to it, the it's conduction, and in boundary layers, it's conduction.
Convection.
Yes, sir.
Let me once again clear this. So adjacent to the surface, it is conduction. The heat transfer is happening with the liquid by conduction. As you go away, or as you go in this direction, it is still conduction, predominantly conduction. But as you approaches towards U infinity, okay, in this region, you have both, I would say, the advection plus the conduction. And the degree of conduction decreases as you go in the width from the surface. Is it clear?
Yes, sir. Now it's clear.
And that is why we this is the step I came, the local heat flux calculation. We applied conduction in the liquid phase. This is the conductivity of the fluid. Is it clear to
Yes,
everyone?
sir.
So, sir,
So
beyond the boundary layer, there is convection.
beyond the boundary layer, we typically call this is convection.
Okay, sir.
But again, remember, Simon, the point I am mentioning, in near the boundary layer, even at lower positions, technically, just near this region, the degree of conduction decreases, the pure conduction, because there is a movement of bulk movement that now the fluid can feel, because it is reaching the 99% of the free stream velocity in that region. So there, the degree of conduction would decrease. If you had to give an example of conduction in liquid, you have to be specifically mentioning that near the surface, inside boundary layer, and that too near the surface. Am I clear, Simon?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Or adjacent to the surface. Okay. So now coming back to this expression. So this is the expression that we wrote for the local surface heat flux. Fine. And also now we recall the expression that is called the Newton's law of cooling, that you also have heard in the other class possibly. Did you hear this term, Newton's law of cooling?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Law of cooling. And what is that? Isn't it? You have liquid where this is your Ts and this is T infinity. The heat transfer by convection or heat transfer due to convection, you can write Newton's law of cooling. Fine? Agreed? So we equate these two now. And our objective was to find this value. This heat transfer coefficient, the convective heat transfer coefficient, which is h is equals to minus kf at y is equals to 0 divided by Ts minus T infinity. So the thermal boundary layer, okay, it is strongly influenced by the temperature gradient, okay, and in other words, this temperature gradient is also dependent on the velocity gradient.
Sir, because like the temperature gradient is due to the molecular diffusion, and that molecular diffusion is also related to the velocity gradient.
Absolutely, because when see if there is a static liquid pool or fluid pool, there is no velocity gradient as such, or so the bulk movement of the velocity, then there is no as such development of the velocity boundary layer. But when there is a flowing fluid and that comes in contact with the solid surface, the velocity boundary layer would develop. And that velocity boundary layer would dictate the thermal boundary layer. Fine. So basically, from this expression, we would see how we land up in Nusselt number. This number have you heard till now? No, sorry. That we will see in the next class. That what is Nusselt number? You have heard of this name, right? Nusselt number, or no?
No, sir.
No. Okay. So we will see that this relation or this equating two equations. One is the Fourier's law to calculate the local heat flux near the surface, and the Newton law of cooling gives us a dimensionless number which is important like the Reynolds number, and you would be remembering that for the rest of your chemical engineering future. This is the Nusselt number. What is that? What is its importance, and how it is related to the thickness between the hydrodynamic boundary layer and thermal boundary layer? That we will start our discussion in the next class. Until that period, do you have any questions at this moment or till whatever we have discussed?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, if we consider a pipe which has means the length between them is like less than the delta, so we can assume that there is mainly conduction.
Uh, it's difficult, Shine. What you are trying, I understand what you are mentioning. See, this delta is shown in a blown up image. You can think of this delta itself is a very fine layer, and in order to have that, this is in the order of say in micron or something, or even lesser than that. So we are considering that kind of a length scale. But that is important. Now, do you get my point? That if you construct a micro scale pipe, or say the that we typically say the microchannel, then the heat transfer mechanism itself changes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a different sets of heat transfer mechanism at the micro scale. Does this answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, because this also now you can possibly think of in this line. This is for the food for your thought, that why in micro scale or in a micro channel you cannot generate a turbulence flow or turbulent flow. Yeah, Vatsal, you raised your hand. Someone raised his hand and then lowered it.
Oh, sir, that was a mistake.
Oh, that was my mistake. Okay, okay, okay.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Sir, when to call a process advection or convection? Means it is getting very much confusing that when to call.
Right. So this is the first class that I mentioned, and the first lecture. The kind of thing that would be less confusing for you if you remember this part. This kind of writing. Say, I write convection. Okay. And if I now write convection is basically conduction plus advection. So this is my convection. So conduction and advection. This combines or combined effect is called the convection. Did you get it now?
Yes, sir.
So convection, in order to have the convection, you have to have bulk movement of the fluid, which is called advection. Bulk motion of the fluid we call as advection. And the diffusion or the dispersion is accounted by conduction. So now if you consider the whole fluid movement on the surface, you have the bulk movement consideration as well as this conduction near the surface. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And now specifically again I will come back to that question again and again, that now if you had to state someone that how conduction can happen in liquid, you would then focus inside the boundary layer, and that too specifically near the bound or near the surface, solid surface. That is where specifically the dominant mode of heat transfer is conduction in liquid. Because there at that very near surface, velocity gradient hardly exists. As you grow or as the thickness grows, the gradient is dominant. Is it fine?
Yes, sir.